So first of all, the time was short. Okay, we had basically 2 months and a half to choose a new brand agency. We were really adamant that we really wanted to, first of all, to find a new partner, really, and we needed an excellent one. So even if the time was short, we really wanted to have a very carefully executed process. So the first thing was obviously to choose, first of all, the agencies we would like to work with. So we didn't, we sent a request for credentials, but 2 agencies we knew already. We had already made the kind of investigation about these agencies. So we were sure that more or less they were doing a good work, and there were 5. Okay, and then the question was, okay, how can we basically work with them during this time, which was 2.5 months, to try to find out which one will be the most efficient for us, the most successful for us. So obviously when you go for a pitch, you've got all these things like agencies spend a lot of time, if they're interested, obviously they were all interested, so they all spent a lot of time on our pitch. We had a case, so it was, for that it was obviously brilliant, and that's what we expected from a creative perspective. But we really wanted to go a bit further and to say, okay, we just don't want to choose the best agency in terms of creative. Yes, we need a very good agency in terms of creative, but we need as well a good partner. And then comes 2 other aspects we really wanted to tackle during our pitch, which was the first one was the spirit of the partnership. So that's very subtle. That's not KPIs or whatever. That's all about, do we see ourselves working with these people? So that's the way you assess a team speaking to you. How do they react? Our pitch was in 2 rounds for the creative itself, but at the same time it was important for us to see, for example, after the first round we gave them a debriefing, a full debrief of what we thought of their work. And for us it was important to see, okay, have they progressed? Have they listened to what we said after the round 1? So this was part of the relationship thing we were trying to assess. And there was more than that. There was even, okay, the look and feel, the feelings, between Renault South Africa and this agency, the teams basically. And so that's the second aspect. And the third one would be, and that's, sorry to say, but that's the cost as well, because we didn't want to choose an agency and then once the agency is chosen to start speaking about, okay, so what will be the cost, how will this work? So we really try to implement something very transparent where the agency will share the cost of their resources. All of this as for us in the spirit of the partnership, where we say, okay, if we work like in a couple, you're not supposed to hide things, or you can have your secret garden, but it must be limited to something which is very personal and very small. The essential of the relationship should be open. So that's why as well we wanted to go through this process during the pitch. So basically when we choose the agency after 2.5 months, we knew everything. They knew a lot about, much more about ourselves as well. But the idea was to say, okay, are we ready to work together? And in a way, we could have imagined one agency dropping the ball at a certain moment and say, look, maybe we don't want, because you are asking a bit too much now. Because we really wanted them to be transparent. So this was part of this process. Because maybe it's a bit arrogant to say that, but we thought that in a way it was so much our project, and even in the pitch consultant will obviously guide you and help you, but it was our project. We didn't want to delegate anything really. And the second thing was that, and we had struggled before the pitch with our digital agency, our brand agency, and we had suffered in a way. We had felt the pain really. So for us it was very important as well to say, look, for example, when we say this interaction between the 2 teams, if you got like a third party, the third party is very useful, and our idea was, look, at the end of the day, when we work together, you won't have a third party to be the referee of the relationship. So will this work being just natural, so being more. So it was the choice to go direct. First of all, because of lack of time, to be clear, but at the same time to say, let's pick the truth. Let's try to find who are these people, and then find out who we are as well, and let's see if this can work. First, the creative, in order. Okay, we would have. Some agencies during this pitch showed less creative skills, and for us, specifically in South Africa, where, as a European, I can tell that in Europe, some advertising works are very settled and very reasonable, mainstream, and this works. In South Africa, clearly not. In South Africa, you need to stand out, really, more than other markets. So the creative, obviously, is key for that. So that's one thing we needed. And that's one thing which was the first parameter to choose Promise. But the second aspect was the fact that we firmly believed that we could get on well with them, and not just get on well, smile, and because we know that in this client-agency relationship, things go wrong sometimes. Obviously, there are tensions, there are problems, there are frustration from the client or frustration from the agency. And we chose Promise as well because we thought that from a human perspective, there was a good match with us. So we, like a couple again, we thought that, okay, if things go wrong, we won't break the relationship the next day. We will be able to communicate the right way. We will be able to give us another chance. So this was all these aspects which was important. The cost was as well, so the third aspect as well, part of it, we knew exactly what was the cost. We compared with the agency. Again, we didn't want to go with the cheapest agency, and Promise is not the cheapest agency, clearly. But the idea for us was to say, look, if there is a good fit, if it's a good work, this at the end, there is more value, and there is more value for our money in a way.